And we're live.
Yep.
What's up, Chomos? Welcome to A Nice Place to Brew. I'm Jason.
And I'm George.
Today is March 25th. We do our webcast here on Facebook and YouTube every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can check out our audio podcast under the same name, A Nice Place to Brew, that's available on all the podcasting platforms. Our website is www.aniceplacetobrew.com. Our social media links are A Nice Place to Brew and Nice Place to Brew. And last but certainly not least, all of our back episodes are available on our YouTube page. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. It really helps the show. We've been doing weekly episodes for now over a year now. We've been doing this and still going strong. So thank you all for your support. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're answering your home brewing questions tonight as well. So if you have any type of home brewing or craft beer related question, leave us a question in the comments. We will respond to it on the air. All right. That being said, how are you this week, George?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
Yeah, I got me a vodka mule from our friends over at Devil's Backbone Distilling. And it's pretty tasty. It's not quite a Moscow Mule, but it's pretty tasty.
Vodka mule?
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
And I'm taking a little bit of break from beer here and cider to pour one out, as it were, for Mallory Archer / Lucille Bluth, because unfortunately Jessica Walter passed away today. So it feels oddly appropriate for something with a little bit harder alcohol in it. So.
Okay, that's very fitting. Do you want to give a little description on Jessica Walter for those who don't know?
Actress that was in Arrested Development and Archer. She played Archer's mother, Mallory, as well as Lucille Bluth in Arrested Development. She's been in a bunch of other stuff as well, but there's two very recent ones that she was known for.
So. Oh, this is a sad day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Big fan of both of those shows.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, she certainly will be missed. Cheers to you.
So what about you, sir?
So I am drinking a beer that was gifted to me. Okay. This is by our friends at Hop Butcher for the World. They are no stranger here to the webcast. This is called Swirling Flourish, which is a mix of Simcoe Citra, Nelson Sauvignon hopped, and Phantasm Double IPA.
Okay, I was going to say, it sounds like an IPA mixture.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, they've got the word phantasm here, and they're making it out to be a hop.
Phantasm?
Yeah. Is that a hop that I just don't know about?
New Zealand. Our friends over at New Zealand seem
to
have come up with Phantasm. Yeah. Interesting.
Huh. All right. I learned something new. Well, you can see how it pours. It certainly is a hazy. I got to tell you, it's quite tasty. I'm very pleased.
All right. Well, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it for the start of the show here, and I may have to duck out a little early once Paulie gets here.
Sure,
but
understood.
I had visions of you starting the show like Garth when he was left all alone in Wayne's World. I'm having fun. So
yes, I know what you're referring to, and I'm very appreciative because I would not do well in that setting here on A Nice Place to Brew. So.
Didn't want to do that to you, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for looking out for me. So some news before Paulie comes on.
Okay.
I will be brewing this weekend, and that's been decided as of like the last 48 hours. We've talked in previous episodes about the good practice of going back to old recipes, refining techniques, and making better beer as a result. So that's what I'm doing this weekend. I'm going to remake my cream corn ale that I made at the same time last year, which I did not know about until I looked back at my notes. I knew I made it last year. I didn't know it was in the same month. So that was a nice hit during the summer months, especially. You know, it's a light bodied beer. It goes really well in hot temperatures. So it seems very fitting. Plus it'll be available on tap, you know, here in A Nice Place to Brew garage. and it will tide me and others over until we do our Amber Ale Brew Day, which
Okay.
has been eagerly anticipated for quite some time, and we've talked about in recent weeks.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe it was like, well, and I guess in a way it could be if it's like your Easter beer now, because, but it won't be ready by then, but unless you ferment it rather aggressively. But
Certainly
you're
not. No.
making it during that time,
Yeah.
so yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. I have not brewed anything since November. Um, I've long talked about my dislike for wintertime brewing, especially in the elements.
Hmm.
So I'm looking forward to doing it again. And it's nice that to have it in warmer conditions. So
Yeah.
that'll be my Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you? What do you got homebrew related or construction related?
Construction related is really, I'm hoping this weekend to have the basics of my brew house set back up. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do my full plumbing construction that I want to do, but I'm hoping to have the basics of the brew house set back up so that later on this month I can get to my first brew day, which I think is going to be the Saison that we talked about.
Cool. You're
Yeah,
set on that?
I think so. The cinnamon Saison is kind of in my head. So,
Cool.
hmm
What else? What else? What else? So the Saison's going to make an appearance.
hmm
Shandy possibly quickly following.
possibly quickly following. That's always a hit during the summer.
Right.
Lemon lime shandy, and it's really a low key beer to make and very refreshing. Good lawnmower beer. You riding around the
Exactly.
lawnmower with beer in hand.
Well,
So
I
yeah,
was tempted to use that same acronym about my cream corn ale because it absolutely fits that bill as well.
yeah,
So good
yeah.
stuff. What else
So
you got going on, even if it's not homebrew related?
even if it's not homebrew related, well, I mean, personally, I've been exploring some new technology stuff. I've been exploring application development and been thinking about how I can use that to basically as a little bit of a thought process and skill learning exercise, figure out how I can create some calculators for myself and be able to tune them for my equipment pretty exactly, and yeah, set it up that way.
Cool.
But
Which is going to
yeah,
in turn make better beer, right?
that's the idea.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's not that other tools like Brew and Water and Beersmith and whatnot aren't really good. They absolutely are. But the better you can tune something for your own equipment, the better off you're going to be. So, and your own purposes. So, yeah.
Good deal.
What
Been
about
productive.
yourself? Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
What about me that's not homebrew related? Uh well, let's see if I can draw parallels with homebrewing.
Okay.
It is springtime here in the US, or no, I'm sorry, it is springtime here in the Midwest, is what I meant to say. Weather's warming up and certain things are coming back into season. And for me, homebrewing is one of those, hence brew
Hmm.
day this weekend. There's a couple things that have also taken off very quickly since the weather's turned.
You're getting a
Um,
dog.
Not getting a dog, but hiking.
Oh, okay.
Hiking has turned on, which I was very much looking forward to, and I'm excited that weather's been good enough to get out the last 2 weekends. This will be a third, and this will be a regular recurring thing during the warm months.
Nice.
So,
You know who
so
really likes hiking?
yeah,
Dogs.
they do. You know who really likes hiking? Brew dogs.
Brew dogs.
Nice how I weave that one in there.
Yeah, yeah. So, you did remind me of something because my exercise has been in the form of Peloton that we got, and
Right.
I did not take advantage of for like a year and a half. But now I'm getting into it, and Hannah stumbled across a tag, so you can tag yourself with different interests and things. And some insane person on Peloton tagged themselves with Team Malort.
Oh, for God's sakes. I guess I'm not surprised, not all that surprised, but wow.
Yeah. I mean, I knew exactly where they were from, because there's only one region of the United States that would dream of using that, unless they're an expat of that area. But still, it's just not necessary.
Team Malort on the Peloton.
Team Malort.
That's really something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not good.
Oh, yeah. Wow. What other images does that conjure up? Let's see.
Nothing good, man.
Yeah.
It's just so bad.
Yeah, I can't. I don't even feel right about coloring that in. I feel like that speaks for itself.
Yeah.
They're not home brewers. There's no way.
No. Well, no. And I know that there are people that do like home distilling and things, and I've yet to see one home distiller that has attempted to make a Malort clone.
That seems insane that's never been done.
I'm not saying it's never been done. I'm saying I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And, okay. And again, if someone raises their hand and says, "Yeah, I've made a Malort clone," then I know within 100 miles where you live. But but I've not seen it myself. Yeah.
So I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Okay.
I just got done talking to a coworker just within the last 2 hours. And that said coworker mentioned that they have a cousin in the, do I feel right about saying the city? In the greater Los Angeles area. It's a big enough place.
Yeah,
it doesn't
it's a
narrow
big
it
enough
down
place.
Yeah. Who has taken up home moonshine making.
Okay.
Yeah. So my first comment, which I'm sure is the same place where a lot of you went, is that's bold. Because moonshine making is no laughing matter.
That's true. Now, how different is that from like home distilling though?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, but I mean, both of those have the same important element: a lot of heat.
True, and an explosive nature.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm like, okay, all right. Well, I hope the product is good, but more so, I hope your cousin is doing this thing safely. in whatever way that means to them.
Hope no one goes blind,
Yeah. Hopefully no rooms get caught on fire.
So, yeah, that's and honestly, that's been one of those things that has held me back from doing something like that, is that my wife is dead set against me blowing up the house and or my beer shed.
Yeah, so, I support that.
Yeah, I mean, I
support that. Yeah.
I get it. I do. I don't agree, but I get it,
Listen, whiskey is not that expensive. You can go to a store and buy whiskey.
True. Yes. Yeah. Hey, our buddy Carl has another question for us.
Hey, what's up, Carl?
You want to throw that up?
Sure. I've read a bit about pitching below temp and then slowly raising the temp to reduce ester production of the yeast during their reproduction phase. Have you found that to hold true? You want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, I definitely attempt to pitch on the lower side of the yeast range. And for that very reason, like the reaction inside of the beer is going to naturally raise that temperature by a couple degrees, especially if it's an ale yeast. So in ester production does tend to happen towards the top end of the temperature range. So unless I'm looking for those esters,
like in a Belgian or something?
Exactly, like in a Belgian or a German Hefe or something like that. Unless I'm looking for those esters, I do tend to start on the lower end of the range. Now, you are talking about taking it a little bit farther than that and actually having it be too cold for the range and then bringing it up into range. That can get a little bit more tricky. because when it is at the lower end of the range, the yeast tends to go a little bit more dormant. So you're going to have to be careful how quickly you bring the temperature up, because you don't want to shock them as you're bringing it up into the temperature range. If you're talking about 1 to 5 degrees below temperature range, you're probably not a big deal. If you're talking about much more than that, especially again in the ale yeasts, I'd be very careful.
Perfectly said. I'll echo every one of those. The one point I will add, I've read articles that have talked about the natural activity inside of fermentation can grow a temperature inside a vessel by as much as 15 degrees.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be substantial depending on the elements. So I think you're in a good place thinking of pitching on the lower end. Below the spectrum, that may work out for you, but to George's point, which I think is the right one, I would lean more towards just to be right on the bottom of the scale. Yeah. That way you may not run into any issues with just getting your fermentation started, which, is important.
Right.
So, great question though.
It is a very good question. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
It's worth also at this time talking about fermentation temperature control.
Yeah.
As one of the differentiators between good beer and great beer. It really is well worth repeating because it's very true in the homebrewing game. Oh, look who just joined us.
Yeah.
Hello, Polly.
What's going on, guys?
Broadcasting live from the world famous Route 66 Old School Brewing in Wilmington, Illinois. How are you, sir?
Fucking exhausted.
All right, we got 17 minutes in before we got an F-bomb dropped. Okay, I think we did pretty good.
It's a new record for us.
Yeah, because it took me 17 minutes to log in. That's why.
What's going on there, sir?
Nothing. Brewing like an animal down here. We had two of the best weekends we've had since pre-COVID, and we almost ran out of beer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Since pre-COVID, the best ones. Wow.
We did over $5,000 in sales last weekend alone.
Wow. Nice.
All right. Go Route 66. Okay, so if you want Route 66... Why am I tongue-tied all of a sudden? I've been doing so well. Okay. If you want to try Paulie's Route 66 beer, they should get out there now, shouldn't they?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not like we're going to run out. I'm still brewing it, but...
Yeah, he's making more.
I'm making more. I mean, well, I'm pushing stuff out, getting stuff done. So that's why I was a little late, because I had this weekend we're doing, the city of Wilmington's doing a flea market, and now our owners are doing what they're calling shops and hops, which is kind of like a beer walk type of thing where you go to a bunch of different stores and there's growlers where you get samples at every one. So I just packaged and flavored my first fucking milkshake beer, and so I had to have that ready, and all the Pink Ale Wife stuff's flowing. Last weekend we had our first Pink Ale Wife release, and it didn't last more than 3 hours and 45 minutes.
Wow. Yeah.
So I mean, we're busy. I mean, we're busy as heck. I felt sorry for our bartender on Saturday. It was her first time by herself, and she got her butt handed to her. I had one of the mug clubbers back behind the bar washing glasses.
Oh,
owner in here serving drinks. Another bartender came. There was 4 people behind the bar.
Wow.
That's how busy it was on Saturday night.
Gosh.
Hey, guys, we have 2 quick questions here. So, Polly, if you're ready.
Yes.
What do we think about a double mash?
So this is a great question. I do not have a ton of insight into this, so I'm going to lean on you guys.
I don't even know what it is.
It is kind of what it sounds like in a lot of ways. Polly is,
right.
Mashing and then mashing again. And I have seen, I've not done it myself. However, I've seen a lot of really good examples of it, and people have great success with double mashing. I think you do have to be careful with it a little bit because you can inadvertently thin out your beer. But if as long as you're following good protocols and making sure you're understanding the process, I have seen people get really good utilizations and really good results out of double mashing.
So if I'm thinking about this correctly, you're talking about using wort as a second mash.
That's one aspect of it. Yes, yeah, that you could do.
I mean, here's a couple questions I have about that. One I have is it one of those where, say your system is 7 barrels and you have a 3.5, or your fermenters are like 6 barrels and you have a 3-barrel fermenter. So what you're doing essentially is doing 2 mashes and blending that into your boil kettle? Or are you having a big beer and then...
And that's where it comes in, Polly. That's where the ambiguity is what are we talking about? Are we talking about double mashing in order to create, a larger container of wort to be able to work with? But I think what Brian's, driving at, and where a lot of people drive at it, where is what Jason said, is you create wort out of your mash, you heat it back up to temperature, and you put it back into your mash tun for a second round, and then you collect it again. And like I said, you kind of have to figure out what that's going to do to the whole thing.
Okay, yeah. I get what he's saying. Okay, so if you have a grain bill too big for your kettle, you split it.
All right. Well, I've never had that for my kettle. I've had that with my oh crap. Let me answer this really quick. I gotta go deal with the delivery. I had to deal with that where you have too much grain for your mash tun, so you have to do 2 mashes.
We've done that.
So that's the only thing I could think of.
Okay. Yeah, Jason, remember when we used to make our 10-gallon batches, and we turned our hot liquor tank into another mash tun.
Sorry.
Right.
So and we essentially had 2 5-gallon mashes going at the same time that drained into one 10-gallon batch.
Right.
So yeah.
So do you think that's what he's describing? Yeah, I run a 10-gallon claw hammer system. Okay.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's it all depends on what your requirements are, Brian, and just make sure you understand what you're doing and what that combination is going to create would be my biggest suggestions for you.
Okay, so I think that changes the answer slightly. If you're talking about just doing 2 mashes simultaneously, and then just merging them into one boil kettle. I think the one suggestive action on that front is make sure that you're splitting up your grain bill before you start up the mash. So you want to I think it would be important to make sure that the grist in both mash tuns is the same.
Is as equal as possible. Yeah,
exactly.
Evenly split. That'd be the best way to go with that.
Exactly.
I agree with that.
Yeah, you wouldn't want one being a bunch of base grain and one being a bunch of specialty, and then try to combine it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then Sean asked a question too. This
is a good one for Paulie.
It is. What recommendations do we have for a New England IPA smash brew?
Ooh, a smash brew. Either
let's do this kind of top to bottom. So let's start off with a base grain. We'll go through the specialties and.
Well, it's smash, Jason. So
yeah, single malt, single hop. Is he wanting grain, or is he wanting grain, or is he wanting hops? That's the question.
We said grain bill, so
he said grain
bill.
So yeah,
well, that's kind of hard because I would probably. Wow, because really, maybe for hazy. Can't be clear. I would probably use like white wheat or some kind of malted wheat, just so your beer is hazy. Because like if you're going to use Golden Promise or Pilsner or 2-row, yeah, you'll get a little bit of haze, but it's going to clear up eventually.
So what about using something like a 6-row, Paulie? That tends to produce haze.
That's true, but the only time I've only used 6-row once ever in my brewing, and I did it on a hoppy lager. So
Okay.
I don't have a whole lot of experience with 6-row yet.
Okay.
I think white wheat is probably a good way to go.
I
I like
agree.
that one.
I think white wheat work really well, and honestly, I think it would go well with Galaxy too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What kind of yeast are you using? Who was the guy that asked the question?
Sean.
Sean. Sean, what kind of wheat or what kind of yeast are you using? Because that has a lot to do with it too. I mean, I would definitely either use like a Y yeast London 3, some kind of Kvik. I haven't dealt with the dry Kvik stuff yet, which I'm going to start. I think I'm going to start dealing with a little bit because it'd be just kind of fun. I can't believe it. 5, 7, 8 years ago. Oh, London 3. All right, that'll work.
Yeah.
I was always I always had a hatred for dry yeast, and now I kind of love it. It's so much easier. The shelf life is so much longer on it. I mean, you get more
That's a
yeast
problem
though,
for you right now with how much you're brewing, but
right? Well, I don't got to worry about that because I just make a couple phone calls and I can get stuff overnight to me. So
okay.
with stickers to get involved. Oh, and I want to tell you guys something. Since we're talking about stuff, I found these guys on Facebook.
There you go.
Two-track malting.
It's a small little malt company out of South Dakota.
Really?
I just found it. Like I saw them on on Facebook when you like how they go through all like, oh, you might be interested in this, which I think is funny because it's all either brewing stuff or indoor gardening stuff. And I think the reason for that is working at Brew and Grow, I keep my phone plugged into their computer. So it's like, oh, hey, look, this certain yeast nutrient that we're carrying. Oh, hey, look, there's a fan. Oh, look, a new LED light system. I'm like, oh, jeez.
So, guys, Sean asked a follow-up question that I think is important to address here. If they go wheat, rice hulls to prevent stuck sparge, and what are your feelings on this, Polly? Because I am thinking of, rice hulls for stuck sparges are for a good thing in wheat, but could that affect the hazy nature of a New England IPA?
I'd say no,
rice hulls?
because
no. Okay.
rice hulls have been my best friend here. I've had a couple stuck sparges, especially you're doing a smash that's kind of hard, but like when you're doing a lot of flake stuff, you need to have those rice hulls.
Okay.
It all depends on your grind. If it comes out like a powdery grind, you'll get a stuck sparge. If your mill's perfect and you just get it slightly cracked, you should be okay. But no, I would suggest rice hulls for everything.
Okay.
I mean, I always use it just when I needed to, but now I'm throwing it in every batch of beer now because I've learned my lesson. 3 hours for a transfer from the mash tun to the boil kettle. Never again. Actually, I think Brian was with me on one of those. We were like, "Oh, come on!"
Well, the one that you and I did first, Polly, that was a good 2 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, because we didn't use hop bags and all the hops blocked up by hop blocker.
Yeah.
You sure about that?
Was it really? Was it the mash?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Either way, rice hulls, right?
Yeah.
Yes. No, that is the takeaway. Yes.
So,
rice hulls is a good idea.
Idea for the malt guys out there. What if they were to take rice hulls and just mix them in with base grains?
I would love it. All right, maltsters, everybody's watching. Get on that shit. You got a $1 million thing. And
right.
promo code George on this one.
Speaking of promo code George, I did look up to what are they called? 2-track. And they do have a homebrew shop with a few kits in them. They look like all grain kits. They have an American wheat, blonde ale, and a pale ale that I may check out and see. Have you gotten any grains from them yet,
I
Polly?
did. Well, not. They just sent me like a little sample pack today. I got samples to where I'm going to probably sit and I'll sit and I'll do a little mini mash of each one to see how they go. Because I'm really curious because they're like their whole thing is field to glass. Like they're the ones growing the grain, they're the ones malting the grain, they're the ones shipping the grain. So
yeah, okay. So I looked up there. Can you guys see that?
yeah.
Okay. I looked up their American wheat kit, and it is 5 pounds of pale malt, 3 pounds of white wheat, and then it talks about the mash and sparge water, and then they include 2 ounces of Cascade hops for 15 and 5 minutes left in the boil, and then they include USO5 as their yeast. So it's actually not a bad kit. Looks like it comes unmilled, so you can mill it yourself.
Okay.
And here's the results. So if you do everything right, so yeah.
Okay.
It seems like they could be and like I said, they have a few kits in here. Looks like maybe they're new to the whole homebrew shop concept.
Yeah. Well,
so.
Hold on. I got their little sample pack right here. Let me open it up. Oh, come on. Open up, you stupid box. So they sent me samples of all their grain. They got their... George, you might want to, pull this up because we got their Dakota, which I don't know what that is. Their Pale Malt, which is Pronghorn Brewski. Kind of like that name. Denhoff, I don't know what that is. They got a Pilsner malt. They got another pale ale malt. The Astro, which is their white wheat. Okay. What does the Dakota say?
So Dakota is a mix between Vienna and Munich malts.
Ooh.
That it has a powerful, clean, malty, sweet flavor.
I want to try that.
I do too, man. That sounds... Polly, order a 50-pound thing and send me 10 of them.
Yes. I'll take 25.
Sure. I'll get right on that. When I have time. How about that, asshole?
Thanks, Polly.
They'll come with your snow globe, George.
Oh, yeah. So they'll never get here. All right. So, but also as subtle reminders of honey, almonds, and hazelnuts. Color of 5.2, so slightly darker, but still well within the base grain range, and adds a rich golden touch to the wort. I love that.
Yeah, like I said, I stumbled upon these guys on a Saturday at Brewer, or sitting there playing on my phone. I was like, oh, these guys are kind of cool. So I reached out to a rep, and he sent me a bunch of stuff, and I just got to talk to the owners and to let me at least maybe make one order, at least try it out, figure it out, have some fun with it. After I get caught up, of course.
And it seems like they're doing things that they're trying to not do just standard grain, which is kind of an interesting way of going about things because here's your 2-row pale malt. The Badlands Sunset is similar to a Pilsner malt, lending a lighter flavor to your beer, but a color of 1.9, so slightly darker than your typical Pilsner.
Can we get these guys on the webcast?
I'm going to reach out to them and see.
Yeah.
Pronghorn Brewski malt is... Identify 2-row barley. Let's see. Extra care and growing. Fantastic base malt, color of 1.8. Perfect addition to your grain bill. And they do have malt specifications here, which is great. I love it when they have these.
This is their logo, which are their things. Field to pint. I kind of like
pint. I like that too.
Do they ship?
They do.
Brian, I saw that they had. Well, to homebrewers, I'm not 100% certain. They do ship the homebrew kits that I talked about, but if you want a 50-pound sack, I'm not sure if they would have a minimum order quantity. But we'll reach out to them and see what we can find out.
Yeah,
is that their
definitely.
website? Fieldtoglass.com?
I just found them.
No, www.twotrackmalting.com.
Twotrackmalting.com, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Appearing next week on A Nice Place to Brew. putting that out there.
Our social coordinator needs to work on that.
I gotta work on another thing. Fuck.
Well, you've seen what my guest producing skills gets us, which
Yeah,
is
he doesn't show up. Whatever
It's just
happened to him? Did you ever talk to him?
he's doing all right. He had something he needs to take care of, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it. But he's okay. Yeah. So.
All right,
So
that's cool.
Yeah, but thank you for that rabbit hole, Polly. I always like, encountering a new.
Hey
malt.
guys, we got another question, and
We do. Shoot.
this came outside of the regular chat.
Okay.
This is from Baldo. Any suggestions on how to preserve taste of beer? My homebrew after 2 weeks kegged usually changes taste and aroma.
How so?
Yeah, how so? Maybe
My
change
homebrew
the
after 2
sanitation?
weeks kegged usually changes taste and aroma. I've experienced this as well, and
Okay.
I describe this just as a kind of evolution of the beer from the onset into carbonation and kind of taking shape.
I guess maybe if you push something along and it's young,
Yeah.
I can see that. I mean, there's a lot of variables to that question. I mean, there really is.
Yeah.
If they're losing like hop character, then I would say that's natural. And if you're looking for more hop character, add more hops to it, because you will get a mellowing. Usually not that quick, but you will get a mellowing of hop character and aroma.
True.
And if it's a malty character that you're losing, I would look more towards specialty malts, Munich, Vienna, caramel, to add more of that malt character back to your beer in your grain bill.
Well, as far as the malt forward beers, I think that those are beers that time is going to be much kinder to. And I think those evolutions over time are going to be positive for the beer rather than negative. So Baldo, I would say don't be afraid of just those flavor changes over the first 2 weeks. It's natural, and it's probably going to be for the better. And if you're entering competitions, your beer is probably going to fare much better if it's not in one of those young stages.
Yeah, because that's detectable when you're after a while especially when you're judging.
Exactly.
So yeah. So I did have a question for you guys. I've been kicking around and doing random beer stuff, and so my targeted ads have all been random beer stuff, unsurprisingly. And I have noticed an increase of late of automated beer systems. And I'm wondering if you guys have noticed this.
I haven't.
You haven't? Okay.
No.
So there's
Like how so automated?
Well, like friggin' automated. Like there's this one called Beer Maker that I can share with you guys.
This ain't a fucking Pico.
Are we talking about Robo Brews?
No,
like
we're talking more along the lines of like a Pico Brew.
Okay.
Oh, we all know how I feel about that.
Yes.
I know, but this seems like it's a little bit more of an evolution of it. Because I wasn't a fan of the concept behind a Pico Brew either. But you have basically
I've seen this thing. I don't know what I think about this.
Countertop beer thing.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
It's a self-contained, you brew, ferment, carbonate, and serve all inside this Who's It's here.
Yeah,
And
but how much you make it?
In this tray up. Polly, if you press a button and it becomes beer, who cares how much you're making? But as far as like how much you're making, I'm not sure. You do have a beer tap thing.
Oh, God.
But
That's
like, look,
tap?
Look here. You have this.
Oh, you're
Okay.
actually mashing grain. Okay.
You're actually mashing grain. You control it through Bluetooth, it looks like.
Oh, shut up. You can control that from your smartphone?
Yeah, you control it from your smartphone. And it's, yeah. And it makes beer.
All right. What's the price tag on this?
That I don't know. Let me see.
It's got to be on there somewhere.
$579. So, honestly, not that bad. Because comparing it to like the Pico Brew, that was what I'm trying to look up right now is how much it makes.
Yeah, but you can get an anvil system. You can get an anvil system from Blickman for under $500.
Right.
And you can.
Does it fit on a countertop?
I don't freaking care. This is for those damn trendy people that live in this city that have all that fuck you money.
No, Paulie, that's exactly who this is calling out to.
Oh yeah,
100%.
That's definitely the target market here. But I've just been seeing these things pop up. This is one of them that I saw. I'll see if I can figure out how much it makes. But
so what else do they have for sale there? Like, I mean, that's just the machinery. Is that $580? So I mean, with each batch, I mean, how much is that going to set you back?
You can get an extra beer tap.
Do you have to buy the kits from them, or can you build your own kits? Or can you build your own recipes? So it's just like a glorified Pico Mr. Brew?
No, I don't think so, guys. Because like, if it is truly a one that you make with go away. If it is truly one you make with just like regular grains and things, let me see if I can. You see, you're pouring grains in there and water, and so I mean, like, why couldn't you buy grain?
Yeah, you're right.
So where do the hops and where do the yeast come into this equation?
That I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so they've got the grains there. That's the one thing they're highlighting.
Yeah. So it looks like you do have a bit of a, like, because this at the bottom here is what they call the waste bag, and it's where the trube and stuff goes in.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I'll see what I can figure out as far as like what it has a 4-pound grain capacity, so you're not making a ton of beer.
Okay. All right. I think that answers our question partially. Like, how much beer are you making out of 5 pounds of grain?
Yeah, so
4 pounds of grain.
4 pounds of grain. So if it's 4 pounds of grain, what is it typical for a 5-gallon batch?
So
it's
usually the batch I'm making this week, because I'm making beer this weekend. My total grain bill is 13.5 pounds.
Okay, so we're probably looking at like beer. 2 gallons
a bomber
at a time?
At best.
Maybe a growler.
Not a growler.
You may be right.
But I would think maybe 2 gallons at a time. So, yield. It says it right there. What's 150 ounces in?
That's over
gallons.
This is 128 ounces in a gallon. So you're making a gallon and like a pint.
You're making a little over a gallon each
time.
You're
making a gallon and a pint. I'll take a hard pass on that one.
Yeah, I mean,
for $600.
I will say though, as an idea, as a pilot system, it's not the worst I've heard. It's certainly not. It's expensive for a pilot system, but if you have money to burn,
hey,
people will buy this.
I gotta take care of something, guys.
Oh yeah, people will buy this. I do admit, I acknowledge that.
Yeah,
but again, back to my earlier question, they're selling kits on there, right?
Yes.
What are they going for?
Let me see. A maker 4-pack, a kit 4-pack goes for $60.
So does that translate to $15 a batch? You got 4 recipes on there?
4 recipes, $15 a batch, yes.
Okay. I was expecting more than that.
I was expecting more too. That's not terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get individual ingredients like grain, yeast, and hops. So it's legit ish stuff, you know?
I would like to sample one of these beers.
Yes. I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I certainly don't think I would taste one of those and be like, wow, I've been wasting a lot of energy.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up a nice place to brew Amazon wish list and put this on there. If anybody out there in our audience wants to buy it for us, I will do a live demo.
Do that. Just if you live in the greater Chicagoland area, if you're making one of these and if you're willing to part with a glass or 2 of these, that'll be enough.
I want to be able to show the process, though, you know?
All right. Okay, point taken.
Yeah, but it's this one, and there's there's other things out there that are like this that I'm seeing out there. It seems like people are trying to bring home brewing to people that maybe don't have the time,
live in urban areas where you don't have a lot of space.
Don't have the space, or just want to kind of dip their toe in, but not really commit to what we do.
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
So one of the other things, are you pulling up another example of that?
No, I was looking for another example. I can't remember the name of it right now. But yeah. So anyway.
Well, let's talk about something else in that same context of what resources do you have out there to make beer if you're in an urban area and you don't have a lot of space. Well, Chicago has an example of a place that is a great resource for home brewers, and that's called Chaos.
Yes, Chaos.
Can you key that in, and we can share some pictures?
I don't know enough about. I don't know Chaos's information, like where to find that.
It should be just Chaos. Here, hold on.
Chaos
search by
brewing.
Chaos Brew Club is what it's on. So let's just color this in. Yeah. If you are in an urban area and you have learned how to make beer, Chaos Brew Club is available to members, and for a nominal monthly fee, you get access to their location and access to use their equipment to make your own beer. Mm-hmm. You can show up at whatever hours are convenient for you. They're open, I believe, 24 hours a day. Don't quote me on that. I believe it's 24 hours, though. Go in, make your stuff, clean, do your transfers, things like that, and just end product becomes yours.
Yeah, you get to take it home.
Yep.
And I think if you want to do that, though, you have to provide the keg or the carboy or
something. You're not totally
point,
free of equipment that you have to provide. I don't remember offhand what those specifics are.
But they do have some pretty neat stuff. Like this is the same burner that I have, which is a friggin' awesome burner.
Yeah.
And they got a whole bunch of, looks like, plastic carboys and buckets, which makes sense to me. You don't want to screw around with glass. You can mill your own grains. And you have brew towers here for gravity fed brewing and mashing, and so they got all kinds of stuff for somebody that wants to homebrew but doesn't have the space or inclination to buy all the homebrew stuff. And Chicago is not the only one that has situations like this. Major cities, these are becoming more and more popular as brew clubs and shared brewing spaces.
Yep.
Yeah.
And maybe best of all is it's also a community of homebrewers. So you have a platform to discuss things like what we talk about here on the webcast.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Paulie?
He's getting set up again.
Yeah, he's back.
What's up?
Paulie, we were just talking about Chaos.
Okay.
We're just talking about brewing in an urban area and what a great resource Chaos is to those people that don't have a lot of space.
Yeah. No, I completely, that is probably one of the coolest homebrew clubs I've ever been, clubhouse, or actually it's probably the only homebrew club warehouse or house I've been to. That is really cool. Like if you live in an urban area and you got an apartment where you can't have a turkey fryer or a burner on your back deck, no, that is a place to go. Yeah. Like I talked to them guys about it. Like they got like so many tiers of like membership to where I think the most expensive one, I think it's like $300 a year or something like that. But you got unlimited fermenter space, and they got like 4 brew systems in there. You can have four groups of people brewing at the same time.
Yeah.
And they let you do more than a gallon and a little bit at a time. So
okay, so you said that's 150 gallons, So you get a gallon and a bomber.
Yeah.
Or that bullshit piece of shit for $600.
Yeah. Or you can go to Chaos and make 5 gallons or 10 gallons or whatever you want. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then they actually have an ingredient room to where they got like they got a bunch of your base grain, they got a little bit of hops, and they got like 05 and 04 and a bunch of fermented stuff to where it's like a honor system to where you can take what you want. You can PayPal them, leave money in the thing. And then they even went as far because I heard that there were people doing illegal smoking stuff on the roof, so I had to go join them. And they got hops growing on the roof too.
Oh, yeah, look at that. All right. Just hops, though. Nothing else growing on the roof there, Paulie?
Not that I saw then. Okay. This was before, recreational in Illinois. So who knows what's going on now?
Brian did ask another question about supply and where he gets things from. So he said he uses Farmhouse Brewing and Yakima Valley hops for supplies, and is wondering if people have other places. Obviously, if you're in the Chicagoland area, you want to go to the world famous Brew and Grow in Bolingbrook, Illinois,
or Chicago, or Roselle,
or Chicago, or Roselle, or wherever.
Yeah. 3 locations. Yeah.
There are a number of commercial shipping places on the internet. I have been a mail order brewer for some time now and I've ordered from Yakima and other places, but if I just need enough for a batch, what a lot of times I'll do is just go to More Beer or Adventures in Home Brewing and order from one of those guys. But where possible, I do try to hit up a local homebrew store and support them.
Yeah. As far as homebrew supplies, shopping local is not only ideal, it's economical, and it makes the most sense. Because yes, you can order ingredients and things online, especially if you're in an area where you don't have the access to the homebrew shops that we have in a city like the Chicagoland area. But you're certainly losing all the knowledge that you can acquire just by being in a homebrew shop, talking with owners, other people that homebrew, and just, that's such an addition to the overall experience of homebrewing.
Yeah.
And you lose so much by just taking that out and just going to an online store.
Yeah, especially if you're relatively new to it. And Brian, I'm in the exact same position that you are. You said I'm an hour and a half from a homebrew shop. So am I.
Yeah.
Which is why I do mail order brewing quite a bit. However, there's one down by my in-laws, so if we're down visiting them and I know I've got a brew day coming up, I will hit them up and go with that. I will say this: if you are relatively new or you want to try a new concept, go to a homebrew shop and talk to them about your recipe.
The knowledge you will get from a homebrew store,
yes,
is
But and the other part of it too is I've had brew days that I've had to delay because of shipping issues and shipping delays, and it's annoying. Yeah. And if you go to a homebrew shop, you don't have to worry about that. But if that's not an option for you, I totally get it.
No,
great questions, everybody.
No, but actually, Brian, what part of the country are you from? Because then we can maybe tell you where. If you're from the Midwest, I mean, you got Midwest Supply, you got Northern Brewer. I mean, hell, world famous Brew and Grow will ship to you too,
right?
But it all depends on what part of the country you're in, who to go to. Really,
and you have to remember, Paulie, we're global now, so it might not even be in the country. But
yeah, well, then, that might have to be some research that we'll have to figure out on our own.
Okay,
and get back to you, Brian.
All right, he's down near Atlanta. Okay.
Wait. Atlanta doesn't have a homebrew shop within an hour and a half of you?
Jason, I'm sure he says Atlanta in the same way that I say,
Okay, all right.
Fredericksburg.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay.
Like how I say Chicago down here in Wilmington.
Atlanta, you're talking about a major city. I mean, you would have access, you would think, to a resource like that.
Yeah, well, but you guys raise a good point. Is the world famous brew and grow in Bolingbrook, Illinois, is not the only homebrew shop that ships.
Right.
Right. You know, so Brian, if you that one that's an hour and a half away, they may ship to you. And then you can kind of get the best of both worlds. You can support a local business, make sure you can take advantage of their knowledge, and also have your ingredients shipped to you in a relatively reliable fashion.
Right.
So.
Close to Alabama. Okay. All right. That colors it in. Okay.
Yeah. So that would be my suggestion.
No, that's an excellent one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, a great night of questions from everybody. Thank you so much for yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Paulie is
sorry, I was
you're a popular guy.
Talking to some customers. Oh, I talked to him. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Off he goes again.
Right.
Hey, I was talking to Joe the farmer. Leave me alone. He's taking my grain.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you think farmers find breweries, or do breweries find farmers?
I think breweries find farmers.
Yeah. Okay.
I got lucky here. Like, my farmer is a home brewer at the same time.
Okay.
Jason's met Joe before.
I have. Yeah.
And he's a home brewer, and he's a great guy. I like him to death. Actually, it was kind of funny because I had a customer come in earlier today, and he said, he's like, so what do you think about putting maple syrup in beer? I'm like, absolutely not. I think it's fucking disgusting. And he's like, okay, I get it. And I got talking to him a little bit. Come to find out, he lives in 2 towns over, and he makes homemade maple syrup. And I'm like, oh, really? Well, we need to talk then.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I could see maple syrup going well because brown sugar goes well in a dark beer.
Yeah.
So I could see maple syrup in judicious quantities. Adding a good element to a stout or a porter, kind of beer. Maybe even like a Doppelbock. What do you guys think?
No, see, I haven't had a Doppelbock in I don't know how long.
Yeah.
So I have a double maple stout that's in my outside fridge right now.
Okay.
And it is one of the best beers I've ever had.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely
Made by
see
microphone.
That working on a
It is
stout.
just awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I have had certain maple stouts made by people that we know that just didn't hit home for me. But this one just is so well balanced. It's so delicious.
The other thing about adding a maple stout or brown sugar, for that matter, is I think you'd have to be careful when you add that, because if you add that like at the end of the boil or whatnot, you're going to get extra fermentation out of it. Maybe not maple syrup, since that may have some stabilizers in it, but brown sugar definitely would.
Well, there's ways that you can prevent that.
True. Yeah.
You can cold slash. You can use potassium sorbate.
Yeah.
Those are just 2 things.
That's true. So, and Brian, I mean, this is why we do this, and thank you for saying that. That's the best compliment that we can that we can get. We want to make sure that we can share what we've learned and learn some new things. So
this is a form of discussion.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah.
And CBS is awesome. Okay, so Brian, you guys get CBS out in Georgia / Alabama territory. That's awesome. I didn't think they made it down that far.
So yeah.
Founders Brewing from Michigan, right here in the Midwest.
Well, they also have another location.
Well, they did just sell out too, and they're doing contracts. So I thought CBS and KBS was like no more. I thought they were going to start pulling that.
I don't think KBS is no more. CBS got put on hold. That is true.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
but still, I'm impressed. I didn't think they would make it that far south.
Well, they
Cool.
did just get bought out by.
Did they get bought out? Okay.
Yeah.
By a bigger
They're the
company.
same ones
They
that
did.
had all that drama last year, remember?
Yep. Sure
Yeah.
Oh, we're not going to talk about that.
No. We already did
bad.
that. You know,
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah, we discussed
yeah.
that when that thing happened. So
Yeah. But yeah. So
well, hey guys, I hate to cut you short, but I gotta go. I got stuff I gotta do.
We're gonna
I think we're
round
wrapping up. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
All
we're
right,
wrapping up.
All right,
So-
I'll wrap up with you. So
All right.
Okay. Yeah, George, you stayed through us the whole time, and I know
Yep.
you've had a day, so I much appreciated that you joined and stayed through us to the end. And thank you everybody for your questions, and thank you Brian Robert for your very, very kind comments. Much appreciated. All right. Thank you again, everybody. Hope everyone has a great weekend. We do our webcast every Thursday here on Facebook and YouTube at 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Visit our YouTube page for all of our past episodes, and don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the show. We have an audio podcast under the same name, A Nice Place to Brew, that's available on all the podcasting platforms. Our website is www.aniceplacetobrew.com, and our social media links are on Nice Place to Brew and Nice Place to Brew. Thank you again. Wow. Thank you again. Hope everybody has a great weekend. And we send off the show every time the same way. We raise a glass one last time and we say, help me out here, guys. It takes a lot of good beer to make great beer.
I said it right this time.
In this case, Moscow Mules.
And we're off.
All right.
Well, hey, actually, I want before we. Oh.
Jason, are we out?
Yeah, having problems.
All right. Let me try.